Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and let me turn a light on. Okay, so basically, last night we had FPX win. Their second game was pretty crazy, and then LGD won. Game 3 was pretty close, so I'll go over some of the pick ban stuff, talk about a few of the champions that I think are like coming into pro play or are important to know about, and then we'll go into the games for tomorrow, and I'll take a quick look at NBA because there's a free contest for a lot of us today. So, DMO against FPX. Obviously, FPX should be winning every single one of these games, but you drop a match or drop a game, not a huge deal. But they really needed this win, so there was no way I was going to pick against them last night. So let's talk about a few of the champions. So first, DMO bans Karma, which is a good flex pick. Twisted Fate, which is a good pick. An overvalued pick right now, but a good pick overall. And then they banned the Ashe. So with the Ashe ban, if their plan was to first pick Caitlyn, I think that the Ashe ban was a pretty bad ban. Because in the laning phase, Caitlyn is fine against Ashe. If anything, she's preferred. So like Caitlyn versus Ashe is better for DMO than Caitlyn versus Aphelios. And yesterday in my Discord, somebody was talking about Caitlyn. Let's see. It was the CEO of Wooming Corp. So he was basically saying like Caitlyn. Let's see, because it's a difference of opinion. Like he can have his own opinion. That's not a problem. But I also have opinions. So somebody said that TSM looked really... Brian said TSM looked really impressive. And then CEO of Wooming Corp said, well, TSM got Caitlyn, which is sleeper OP at the moment. And I said, not OP at all. And I'm very serious when I say that she is not OP at all. So then CEO of Wooming Corp says, did you say Kate isn't OP ironically or no? Couldn't tell. She's going to be a contested pick this patch with Morgana. And a champion can be a contested pick without being overpowered. Example, Ashe. So that's fine. And then Dingo, of course. Dingo and Wooming Corp go back and forth all the time in Discord. It's probably one of the best reasons to be in the Discord is to listen to them bicker. So he says, wouldn't surprise me to see a Wooming fan be wrong. Par for the course, actually. Because they go back and forth about Wooming and Ruby all the time. So Wooming Corp says, Kate is going to be top ADC pick this patch. So there's a difference between a champion being very popular and being overpowered. So that's the important difference, I think, that we're talking about. So my response, which is basically just my opinion on this, is that being a top pick doesn't mean an OP pick. She's not OP. So on the last patch, she was given a buff. And before I go any further, I would like to ask you, do you know what the buff was? If you do, let me know what you think the buff was in the comment section, and then I'll tell you what the buff actually was. So Caitlyn, who went from not being played basically anywhere in the pro scene, maybe she was picked once every couple of weeks or once a month or something, a champion that's not played at all, received 2 buffs. She got a 2 attack damage buff, 2, 1, 2, and a 5 move speed buff. So how does 2 attack damage and 5 move speed it takes you from being a champion that's not played to overpowered? I don't think so. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody like from Discord, because I'm taking out my frustration about the League community in general. So having that small of a buff cannot make a champion OP. And I said the same thing in my other Discord. So this is from the Yale Esports. So McScrag, very intelligent guy, very smart about League of Legends. We practiced Kate Morg one day last week, and McScrag said, a lot of Cape Morg in all regions this week. Def keep practicing it. I'll probably VOD review one of the games when I get a chance. And then I said, 2 AD and flat move speed, question mark. Well, better become the most popular AD carry in LoL then. And I'm not being confrontational with McScrag. I'm just like talking about the league community as a whole. So I said, what a joke. Lol. Gotta love the pros and analysts working for these teams. Pre-patch 10:15 equals, oh my god, what a horrible pick. Inting. After patch, oh my god, Kate so strong, so OP, busted champ, what the fuck. And then McScrag and I went back and forth a little bit. Not like back and forth like arguing, but we went back and forth trying to like qualify what we were saying. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like, you have to take it as like the combination. So everybody's saying Cape Morgana overpowered. So was Cape Morgana overpowered before this patch hit? And if they say no, then you have to ask what changed in the meta to make the pick going from not anyone's favorite to an overpowered champion. Because you can say it went from not being pro viable to being pro viable, but that doesn't mean that it went from being not viable to overpowered. Overpowered would mean it's like the best champion in the game. So that's where I get kind of like insistent that I go through this conversation with people. So Kate Morg and Kate Lux are two of the things that we've been seeing a lot. I think Lux is a great pick. I think that Lux, you could theoretically play at mid lane, but there are a lot of bad matchups, so you'd want to save it for last pick on red side. But basically, like, Lux is one of the best Ardent Sensor users in League of Legends. So when everybody started playing Karma, they could have been playing Lux instead. But they prefer the movement speed buff that Karma gives and the increased flexibility of going top lane, going mid lane, or going support. So that's the reason why we see something like Karma more often. The other thing about support champions is that a lot of people, McScrag included, are very skeptical of these caster caster supports, because there's the potential of them getting stomped in lane. But when you watch a professional match, there's always a chance of a team getting stomped in lane. And it's just, like, that's not a good enough reason, in my opinion, to either play a champion or not play a champion. Like, if a player is a ranged support main, they should be able to play that into the hook matchup, because they have more games in that kind of scenario than most players do. So it's not like they're taking it in blind and into a horrible situation. So the other thing that I said in the League of Items Discord, which is a good, it's a fun place to kind of like talk and stuff like that. P-Fish is very active. Waco Kid, Hines, Wu-Ming Corp is a pretty active person as well. So I said she got a 280 buff and a 5 move speed buff. She was already okay because of her playstyle and range. So this is an important distinction to make. I am not the kind of person that goes around saying Caitlyn is a garbage champion, because then I have to have my only options be she's complete garbage or she's completely overpowered. That's not a realistic way of looking at the game. If you have a nuanced understanding of the game, then you would know that when somebody picks a champion blind, like you pick Ashe or you pick Ezreal, maybe even Aphelios in certain situations, you can justify picking Caitlyn by saying Caitlyn has higher range than Aphelios. Caitlyn can set up traps that make it more difficult to contest Dragon. It makes it more difficult for Aphelios to get into range. Like, if we're continuously talking about Aphelios needing to play against team compositions with multiple melee champions, then Caitlyn's a very good champion to pick into him, theoretically, because in lane, you'll have the advantage during the laning phase, you'll be a little bit stronger, and then you need to kind of play around his power spikes. In my opinion, I think that everyone is going to start sleeping on Aphelios, and he's going to go nuts in playoffs, probably. That's what I think is going to happen, because everyone has a distorted view of Aphelios, and I don't really know the best way to make everyone understand, but I'm gonna make a comparison to Hearthstone. So in Hearthstone, there's like this general rule where, like, it's a trading card game. So it's like if a card costs 4 mana, then it should have probably 4 attack and 5 defense or something to be considered viable, right? So there's a card called the Chillwind Yeti, and everybody played it just because it's a good card to have in general. Like, you can put it on the board, fight for board control, and you can buff it up. It basically for board control though. So imagine that card. It's already a card that's in play for most people, and they think it's just a really good card. That's fine. So I think of every champion in League of Legends like that card. So Caitlyn, we could say Caitlyn is a 4/4/5 that has additional attack range. So it's like instead of it being 4/4/5 and a blank card, it'll say Caitlyn 4/4/5, and then her passive would be like headshot. And it's like, okay, Caitlyn, every time that she auto attacks somebody, it has a chance to do twice as much damage, right? So that is like her unique. That would be her unique kind of thing. Then when you have Aphelios would be a 4/4/5, assuming they're equal, which I don't think they are. But for the benefit of this comparison, I'll just say Aphelios 4/4/5. But Aphelios' passive is Crescendum or something like, or just something like that, or like call it Bloodline, and be like every time Aphelios goes down to 1 health, he has the chance to kill 3 of his enemies and go back to full health. Which one of those sounds better? Because that's what you're picking. You're picking between a champion that can kill 3 champions at the same time with Hurricane and heal himself back up to full, or you have Caitlyn, who is annoying in lane and can set up some traps and can have big crits. That's the choice that you're making, and that is why Aphelios is so broken. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I'm thankful that we had this conversation in Discord, because it helps me, it gives me an opportunity to think through these things while I kind of try to explain my position. So again, Caitlyn, good champion, not overpowered. Aphelios, ridiculous. I understand that LS is like on this crusade for Aphelios isn't overpowered, we can counterpick him, but the problem is that even when you counterpick him, he has ways to still win that matchup. That is the biggest problem. So it's like you could do everything right and still lose. And that's when you know something is overpowered. And it requires you to be perfect. And why would you want to draft in a situation where you have to be perfect? It just doesn't make any sense. So like, yeah, Caitlyn, Aphelios, Lux, good champion, not picked as much as it should be probably, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But basically, FPX was losing this game. They get to the end of the game. I think some people are speculating that DMO threw this game intentionally, and I don't think that's the case. But basically, like right here, if they were focused on playing this slow and attacking the tower instead of going for kills and stuff, they would have been able to win this game. So Shubin and it's basically Caitlyn versus Aphelios. Aphelios wins that duel because Aphelios. And then they just run down. So it's over. It's whatever. In the BLG matchup, I wanted to check the pick bans to see if Caitlyn was banned by any of these teams. Okay, so Caitlyn was banned here. So LGD must think that it's pretty good. But again, we didn't see Aphelios being banned. So if you're LGD, you're banning Caitlyn instead of Aphelios, I think that's a mistake. And these are the kinds of things that you have to pay attention to, because when we get into playoffs and teams are in a situation where they have to ban something like Caitlyn or Aphelios or Ashe or Ezreal, it tells you a lot about how they value champions, and we can make we can adjust our view of their ability to pick ban correctly because of it. So we had LeBlanc, Nidalee, and TF banned. We had Kalista, Caitlyn, and Zoe. And there's no Aphelios. That's weird. So maybe they're trying to bait an Aphelios pick. And I think that teams will realize, once again, Aphelios, the things that he can do are just ridiculous. So he'll go back to being... He should go back to being the highest win rate AD carry on the patch. Like, I think a team like JDG, if teams draft like that against them, where they just continuously leave up Aphelios, I think they'll do very well in playoffs. Okay, so we have that pick ban. So we had one Kate ban. I'm not going to watch all these 3 games. BLG won the first game, and then LGD won the second 2. We'll watch that last fight. So LGD again on red side is banning Caitlyn, and this might just have to do with Kramer, because Kramer probably has a very high opinion of Caitlyn because he's good at Caitlyn. I think that it makes sense for Kramer, because Kramer is not the best Aphelios in the world. He's not a hyper carry player, in my opinion. He's more of like a Senna. I guess Caitlyn would fit into that as well. Ashe, more supportive. I think that all those champions are probably just better for him. because it doesn't make him the focal point of the team. Okay, so we have two Caitlyn bans by LGD. That makes me like LGD a little bit less for pick bans, because if they have this attitude in pick ban where they're going to ban out Caitlyn and give away Aphelios, I think it decreases the chances of them winning games. And then we had Kalista against Ezreal, and there was a really good fight in the middle of this. All right, so yeah, LGD is at a deficit right now. BLG won a big dragon fight, and this is a good thing from LGD. So this makes me more confident in LGD, and this is a scenario that is stickier long term, because their opinions of a draft can change drastically after one draft. You can get your ass kicked by a team in one draft, and it'll completely change how you view the matchup. So I think that would hopefully happen to LGD once a team picks Aphelios into them a couple of times. So we have both teams posturing around dragon. LGD needs to stop this dragon from being taken, because LGD needs to stop the dragon from being taken because it is Dragon Soul. So we'll slow it down. I'll turn off my stream real quick. Alright, so right now, LGD has gotten the primary position on the dragon, and we've talked about this before. It's important to be the first team in position because it requires some abilities to break the position of LGD, and they have good counter engage. They have Tahm Kench, who's very safe. They have Peanut, who can go back and forth, can kick a champion out. Sylas has stolen away the ultimate from Mordekaiser, so Sylas can death sentence? I forget what it's called. The ultimate from Mordekaiser. He can use that on the enemy jungler and help Peanut secure the dragon. It's very interesting what happens here, though. So LGD is starting up the dragon, just bursting it down. The call must be just kill it before that he can kill it before he can even get here. Sylas goes forward and Death Realms the set. But then Mordekaiser flashes in and Death Realms Peanut. So now it's up to Kramer to kill the dragon before Kalista, who's up here, or Leona can really do anything. And it's unlikely that they'll be able to steal it away, but there are it is possible. So it's at 550, and look how close it is. So Kalista is throwing an auto attack. Like you saw her her Q shoot towards a dragon, but Kramer killed it from 81 or from 27 health. So one of them got like a 40 something attack onto it. And then the fight just continues. So right now we have Meteor is very low after being in the Death Realm with Xie. And now it's time to turn the fight. So Galio goes in for a taunt, gets Xie. Tahm Kench takes out Sylas, and that's actually a pretty good combination. I haven't thought about that before, but Tahm Kench with like these annoying champions that can hop in and out of team fights, it allows them to play even more aggressive. So I think that the Tahm Kench pick was very helpful here because they can get in and out of team fights easily. Peanut goes in for a kill, trades his life, or does he? Actually, he doesn't. So he stopwatches. He survives. I think he hops out. Yeah. But then basically Xie helps to end this fight pretty easily. So I didn't need the pen after all. But that's the turning point of the game. They were able to get Baron after that. And actually, this was pretty difficult as well. So LGD should have focused the Baron, but Set was able to run up, drop a pink ward, which allows Mordekaiser to come in and contest the Baron. And this gets a little sketchy. So Peanut has to ward hop in, smites, secures the Baron at 100 health. So that's pretty fortunate for them, and also kicks wings, so they get a couple more kills. And that's basically it from LGD. So like I said, some good things and some bad things from LGD. Let's go to. All right. So we have EDG against V5 tomorrow. V5's obviously the favorite. EDG has chances to beat V5. Biu against Xiaoshang. I think Xiaoshang is just as good, if not better, than Biu. I know Biu has more of a larger portfolio to look at, And that's probably why we should prefer Xiao Sheng, because there's a little bit less that we know about him, and his upside could be a little higher. He has played more like Kennen and stuff like that, which is very good on this patch, as long as you're able to avoid getting counterpicked. So that matchup is 50-50, if not EDG favored. In the jungle, we have Wei Wei against Jai Jai. Probably. That's probably how they'll do this one. So I think it's probably even, if not Wei Wei favored. I know Billy specifically likes Wei Wei a lot. Mole against Scout. I think Scout's a better player. And then we have Samd or Y4 against Hope. I don't know who's starting for V5, and that's an issue for me. I don't like teams that are continuously changing out players. I do believe in team continuity. I don't think it's the most important thing, but when you're picking between two teams that are close, I'll take the team that has more continuity. So I think EDG has a shot tonight. And then PP God against Mako. So let's see what the money line is in this game. I would assume it's probably V5 minus 180. Minus 260. Okay, so I like EDG for a real life bet. And then we have OMG against World Elite. World Elite is a much better team than OMG. Morgan against Curse. Curse does have some chances of carrying games, so that's important to watch out for. He can play something like a Gangplank and be very good. Beishang against Hacker. Beishang's a better player, but Hacker's pretty okay. Tichima against Icon. I prefer... that's 50-50 actually. And then Zhaomong against SMLZ or Eric. I prefer Zhaomong. And then Missing against Sora or Cold. I prefer Missing. So I think World Elite will be the most popular team tonight. V5 will also be pretty popular. I'll probably have some EDG in some of my lineups. OMG is going to be the biggest contrarian play of the night, probably. That's basically it. That line was World Elite minus 335 and Billy Billy Gaming plus 227. And then let's go into basketball real quick. So like I said, there's a free contest for people who played in some other stuff this week. So I'm just going to go position by position pretty fast. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Denver, we have Jamal Murray and Monte Morris. Jamal Murray didn't play in the last game, I think, which made Monte Morris a pretty popular play. They're saying he's very questionable. So if he's out, I think Monte Morris is okay. But the one thing to keep in mind for the Nuggets is when Jamal Murray doesn't play, Jokic's usage will probably go up, and he has a higher assist upside. Oklahoma City, is Will Barton out again? Will Barton's another player that would be able to take on some of the usage and the point guard minutes. Or maybe not point guard minutes, but like controlling the ball. Gary Harris is out. Torrey Craig, I think he had an okay game. Yeah, 25 points in their first bubble game. Troy Daniels. They didn't even have a price for him. So again, Schroeder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Dennis Schroeder matchup is always something that you kind of want to play into. Dennis Schroeder, why is he so much more expensive? I prefer Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to Dennis Schroeder, like every time. Then we have Danilo. Danilo started off so hot the other day. He had like 15 points in the first quarter. 15 DraftKings points in the first quarter. And then he just didn't finish strong. Michael Porter Jr., he was a very popular play on the first day because I think he was listed at like 3,000. I'm not sure why I keep saying 0. He was definitely on the slate. Torrey Craig again. This is another spot where I like Danilo Gallinari because he has the size to be on the floor in a lot of the different roster combinations. So I would definitely watch out for him. Andre Roberson and Diallo. I don't know about them. Paul Millsap, Jeremy Grant, Michael Porter Jr. Not too interested in a lot of these players. Bol is pretty interesting. Bol had like a sick assist the other day, but he's not getting as many minutes as I originally thought. And then for centers, we have Jokic against Adams. That's a good matchup for Jokic. He can basically do whatever he wants in that matchup. Steve Adams is tough defensively, but you're not going to stop Jokic. Next up, Indiana against Washington. So Shabazz Napier, two games that were not great back-to-back. So people are going to start questioning rostering him. Ish Smith, has had 2 pretty good games, so 3,800 and 4,000. Now he's 4,700. I think that you can still justify playing him because he can get to 6x. I think Shabazz Napier is a pretty good tournament play because he still has huge upside, and this is a good matchup for him. Indiana plays pretty fast. If Malcolm Brogdon isn't playing, then it'll be easier defensive matchups. Super athletic team as long as like Aaron Holiday is on the court. Victor Oladipo played in the first game. Only 5,900. Wow. Played 32 minutes. So Oladipo is doubtful for Monday's game. Okay. So that'll open up some more minutes for Indiana. Aaron Holiday becomes more interesting for that reason. Washington's on the second game of a back-to-back. I don't think that'll really matter too much. Troy Brown Jr. had a crazy game yesterday, scored 50 points. Osmo tweeted out like before halftime, Troy Brown Jr. on pace to get a triple-double at halftime. Didn't get there, but still a pretty crazy play. 17 shots. I mean, I never would have been on Troy Brown. I think I said his name yesterday and said I wouldn't be playing him. And then he did that, so he's pretty good. Aaron Holiday, Jerome Robinson. I would have to look more into these teams at this position, and it depends on like lineup news. So I'm not sure I'm gonna be locking these players in my like dummy lineup. Isaac Bonga, I played him the other day. He had an okay game. Never mind, he did not have an okay game. Who am I thinking of? T.J. Warren had a ridiculous game. He scored 53 real-life points, and I'm pretty sure I said on the video that T.J. Warren can score 50 points. It was either that video or the preview show. I said T.J. Warren can score 50 real-life points, and he did it. So good for T.J. Warren. That means he'll be very highly owned in the next game, and you will probably not want any piece of him. The chances of him doing something like that twice is very low. At 7,400, the amount that he needs to score from a DraftKings perspective is just so much higher. Like, if he gets 50, that's okay, but it's not necessarily a tournament-winning performance, and he doesn't always get to 50. Like he's projected for 35. I don't even know if that's a realistic expectation. See, like he has all these games in the 20s. That seems like he should be priced around 6,000 at the high end, not 7,400. But this could just mean that there's like a fundamental shift in how they're going to use him, so that's kind of what you have to bet on. Is Sabonis out again? Oh, ways away, so he's out again. T.J. Warren, Jamar Sampson, Doug McDermott. Against Washington, it's tough. I don't know what the rotations really look like for Washington, so I don't know what the matchups are going to be. I think that T.J. Warren should be fine against Hachimura, definitely fine against Wagner. Bonga. Thomas Bryant had a big game the other day. Miles Turner is an okay matchup for that. So you could probably justify playing Miles Turner and Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant's going to be more popular. You take the $200 of savings. Maybe you play Miles Turner. That's an interesting game theory spot. So that's that. Let's go to Memphis and New Orleans. Drew Holiday, Lonzo Ball, John Morant, D'Anthony Melton. Is he playing that much? Weird. So John Morant is definitely very interesting. This should be a very fast game, or a high-paced game. That makes me kind of hope that Nickeil Alexander-Walker can play more, but he doesn't play very much. See, look, 12 minutes, he had 24.25 points. That's pretty good. So if the game gets out of control, he could play a little bit more. Just, you're not guaranteed minutes for him, so that sucks. Lonzo Ball and Drew Holiday are both in play. John Morant is in play. I think those three will carry decent ownership today. Dylan Brooks makes sense. He could be a high-volume shooter in this game. If he gets hot from 3, then we could get into the probably 40 range. That's like his top end. He doesn't have a lot of the secondary stats because John Morant exists and Jaren Jackson Jr. exists. Brandon Ingram. A rebound game for Brandon Ingram probably. Josh Jackson. I wonder how many people are going to pick Josh Jackson thinking that it's Jaren Jackson. That'd be pretty funny. Kyle Anderson. Don't really love him. Josh Hart is in play, but not like a great play. It's a pretty thin play. JJ Redick, same thing. Etwan Moore, same thing. You kind of have to consider them if they're going to be in the highest scoring game of the day. Zion, I'm probably not playing Zion like at all until He's playing 25 minutes or more. Jaren Jackson Jr. is in play once again. He scored 50 the other day, or 43 the other day, and then at 5,200 he scored 32. So now at 6,200, we really need him to get into the 40s. And I think yesterday, even though it was a 6x, I think it will be considered a letdown by most people. The only reason why his ownership wouldn't fall off of a cliff is because of the matchup against New Orleans. So there's that. Brandon Clark didn't have a very good game. Brandon Clark at 4,200 I think makes a lot of sense. He could definitely get up to 40, if not 50. So I'd watch out for both of those players. Nicola Melli, he might need to play some more. I like him as a 3-point shooter, so we'll see if he actually gets enough minutes. Jonas Valanciunas, 33 at 8,000 is just not good enough. He does have good upside though. Would you want to play Valanciunas against Favors for an extended period of time? I guess so. It's really not a big issue. Derek Favors becomes more interesting in this match because it's very important for him to get a lot of minutes. You might see somebody like Jahlil Okafor tonight, or maybe more Jackson Hayes, because of the matchups. So basically what I'm thinking is Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark. I don't think Tolliver's playing very much. Jonas Valanciunas, Gorgeous Jang, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, so all of those players could force New Orleans to play a little bigger than they usually do. I could also see them going small, though, and running like Brandon Clark at the 5, and just keeping Valanciunas and Gorgie Jang's minutes down. San Antonio against Philadelphia. Ben Simmons, DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray's been somewhat disappointing the first couple of games. Scored 44 the other day. I had him in my lineup again. DeJounte Murray's the kind of player that I'm just going to continuously play. And if he burns me 20 to 30% of the time, I'm fine with that. Derek White and DeJounte Murray getting a lot of good minutes. Ben Simmons against those two, 9,000 is a little too much. Ben Simmons always has the potential for a triple-double. If DeJounte Murray is on pace for a triple-double, I could see it turning into a game where either DeJounte Murray or Derek White is trying to get a triple-double. Ben Simmons is trying to get a triple-double. Joel Embiid's trying to get a triple-double. Josh Richardson's always in play for me. Alec Burks, I feel like he wasn't playing the other day. I know that Shake Milton got into like a yelling match with Joel Embiid. Lonnie Walker, now he's getting into the 4,400 range. I'm not going to be playing Lonnie Walker anymore. I love Lonnie. Can't play him at that price. Tobias Harris, 8,600. This is interesting. I think that Tobias Harris is sleepy is a sleeper for tournaments, because at 8,600, I don't love that price for him, so that should reduce his ownership. Tobias Harris, I feel like he needs to play and be on the court against DeMar DeRozan. So if we get extended minutes from Tobias Harris, he could put up enough points, get enough rebounds and stuff like that to be potentially a tournament-winning play, or at least a part of a good game stack. Keldon Johnson, everybody's talking about Keldon Johnson right now, saying he's a good real-life player. Not really translating into DraftKings success yet. We'll see about that. Al Horford, I'm not playing Al Horford. Not playing Al Horford. I'm not going to do it, and you shouldn't either. Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay makes sense. Philadelphia is a very oversized team, so they might need Rudy Gay to be on the floor, just so they're not getting overpowered by all the size. Joel Embiid is always in play. Jakob Poeltl's in play. So he's been disappointing so far. I could see Poeltl going off if he gets extended minutes. Actually, going off is a little extreme, especially against Joel Embiid. Maybe that's not a good take. Last up, we have the Lakers and Utah. So LeBron, I'm assuming LeBron will play. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley's going down in price a little bit, so Mike Conley's interesting. Jordan Clarkson was a letdown in his last game, so I want to play Jordan Clarkson again probably. Donovan Mitchell. Joe Ingles, not a huge Joe Ingles guy, because he needs to score so much. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Has he been getting enough minutes? 30 minutes and 8 points. Oh my god. That's tilting. Danny Green, not enough. Alex Caruso. I mean, LeBron's kind of just dominating the ball right now. not scoring too much either. LeBron could have a bounce back game where he just puts it all together and scores 1,000,000 DraftKings points. That's always an option. Royce O'Neal, if he's out, that'll be interesting for some other players like Niang. Kuzma is always in play. Anthony Davis, Morris. If Royce O'Neal is out, I like Niang. He got 25 minutes in their last game. He's a good all-around. He's an okay all-around player. He's just not a good athlete. He's not an elite athlete, I should say. Anthony Davis against Gobert. Well, that's basically it. Thanks for watching. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.